Hello friends. When we talk about Cancer, we often imagine a person wrapped in soft emotional waves, protective yet deeply loyal, shy yet profoundly intuitive. But what does Cancer mean in the context of friendship? How does this sign behave, evolve, and connect when the bond isn't romantic but platonic? To truly understand Cancer as a friend, we need to peel back the layers of their watery soul. Let's explore this in detail, step by step, through 7 dimensions. The emotional core of Cancer in friendship. When you step into the world of Cancer as a friend, you're not just meeting a person, you're stepping into a tidal current of feelings, impressions, and subtle emotional landscapes that stretch far beyond surface-level interactions. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and this lunar influence is not just symbolic poetry, it is the very essence of why this sign behaves as it does in relationships. The moon is ever-changing, waxing and waning, reflecting light but never generating it. Cancers carry that same rhythm in their hearts. They absorb, they reflect, they shift, and they nurture. And in friendship, these qualities transform what might have been casual acquaintances into something far deeper, almost sacred. For Cancer, friendship is not transactional. It is not about convenience or passing the time. They do not make friends simply because it's pleasant to have someone to grab lunch with or someone to share gossip with. To a Cancer, the concept of friendship is closer to kinship, sometimes even more powerful than blood ties. When they meet someone they resonate with, they don't just add that person to their contact list, they place them carefully inside their emotional sanctuary, treating them as chosen family. This explains why many people who count a Cancer as their closest friend will say, "They treat me like a sibling," or, "They're the one person who never judges me." The emotional core of Cancer's friendship is built on empathy. They are not just attentive listeners, they are emotional mirrors. You might say one thing, but if your tone betrays sadness, they'll feel it immediately, sometimes even more intensely than you do. You don't need to explain your pain to a Cancer friend, they will already understand it. Their intuition functions almost like sonar, picking up on moods, silences, and small shifts in your behavior. If you've had a bad day, they'll know before you even open your mouth. And because they feel so deeply, their instinct is to nurture, to comfort, to wrap you in reassurance until the heaviness lifts. This, of course, is the gift of being friends with a Cancer. Their loyalty and compassion are unmatched. They are the ones who will check in on you long after everyone else has forgotten. They will remember your struggles, your victories, your childhood stories, and the little quirks that make you unique. They will stand up for you fiercely, sometimes even more fiercely than you stand up for yourself. When you're not in the room, they will defend you. When others criticize you, they will look for the reasons behind your actions rather than judge. A Cancer friend is a safe harbor in the storm. But every gift has its shadow, and the same sensitivity that makes Cancer so empathetic also makes them vulnerable. They feel slights more deeply than most. A harsh word, a forgotten promise, or even a careless tone can wound them, often far more than the speaker realizes. Unlike fiery signs that may explode and get it over with, or airy signs that shrug things off, Cancer tends to retreat when hurt. They withdraw into their shell, just like their symbol, the crab. They might become distant, suddenly less talkative, or offer you short answers that leave you wondering what went wrong. To some, this withdrawal can feel confusing or even passive-aggressive, but in truth, it's Cancer's way of protecting their delicate inner world. It is important to understand that this retreat is not permanent. The shell is their refuge, a place to process emotions, to lick their wounds, and to decide whether it's safe to come out again. The key to maintaining a friendship with Cancer lies in reassurance. They don't need grand gestures, they need sincerity. A simple acknowledgement of their feelings, a reminder that you value them, or a quiet moment of shared understanding can melt their defenses. They are not looking for perfection, they are looking for consistency and honesty. At their core, Cancers long to nurture and to be nurtured. They want friendships that feel like home. They want to laugh, to cry, to build traditions, and to share silences that don't feel empty. They are not afraid of emotional depth, on the contrary, they crave it. To them, a friend is not just someone to kill time with but someone to build a small universe with, a universe where loyalty, care, and intimacy are the currency. This is why losing a Cancer friend often feels devastating. Once you've been let into their heart, you know what it feels like to be cared for in a way that is rare and irreplaceable. If that bond is broken, through betrayal, neglect, or indifference, it doesn't just end a friendship, it leaves a scar. Cancers may forgive, but they rarely forget. Their memory is long, their heart even longer, and once trust is fractured, it takes immense effort to rebuild. Still, the rewards of such a friendship are worth the responsibility. If you are fortunate enough to be welcomed into the emotional core of a Cancer's world, you will discover a loyalty that stretches across years, a compassion that doesn't fade with distance, and a level of care that feels almost maternal. You will know what it means to be truly seen, not just in your brightest moments, but in your darkest ones too. And that, perhaps, is the truest essence of the emotional core of Cancer in friendship. They don't just walk beside you, they carry part of you within them, keeping it safe, cherished, and alive, even when you've forgotten how to carry it yourself. And now, a little side note. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a thanks button right under this video, or through the donation alerts link in the description. Your support truly helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please leave a like and subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. Thank you so much for being here. Now, let's continue. The Loyal Protector. To understand Cancer in friendship, you have to imagine what it feels like to be cocooned in warmth and safety, as if someone has built an invisible shield around you, making sure nothing harmful ever touches your skin. That is exactly how a friendship with Cancer often feels, like being wrapped in a blanket fresh out of the dryer, like sitting by the fire when the storm outside rages, like knowing that no matter how chaotic the world becomes, you have one person who will not just stand beside you but stand in front of you if necessary. Cancer is the archetypal protector in friendship, and their loyalty doesn't come in shallow gestures. It runs deep, bone deep, heart deep, woven into their very sense of identity. When Cancer chooses you as a friend, they're making a vow, though it's rarely spoken out loud. They are silently promising, "I will be there when no one else is. I will guard your secrets like a vault. I will shield you from harm, even when you don't realize the harm is near." This vow is not temporary. It isn't dependent on circumstances or convenience. It isn't about whether things are fun or whether the social atmosphere feels light and easy. For Cancer, loyalty is about constancy through storms, through disappointments, through the long, unglamorous stretches of real life. They don't vanish when the party's over, they stay to help you clean up the mess. The protective instinct of Cancer in friendship is not merely symbolic, it manifests in very tangible ways. If you are sick, they are the one who shows up with soup, vitamins, or medicine, sometimes fussing over you like a parent would. If you're stressed, they'll check on you at 2 a.m. with a simple text, "Are you okay?" If you're going through heartbreak, they won't just say, "I'm here if you need me." They will actually be there, sitting with you through the silence, making sure you eat, making sure you rest, making sure the weight on your shoulders feels a little lighter because you don't have to carry it alone. Cancer doesn't just claim loyalty, they demonstrate it in action, in detail, over and over again until it becomes undeniable. But this loyalty, as beautiful as it is, has another side, a shadow that reflects the depth of their emotional investment. You see, once Cancer lets you into their heart, they expect reciprocity. It isn't that they are keeping score in a petty sense, but their memory is long and their feelings are vast. If they show up for you time after time, and when your turn comes you vanish or offer only half-hearted attention, they will feel the imbalance profoundly. Unlike other signs that might dismiss neglect as unintentional or quickly move on, Cancer holds on to the hurt. It embeds itself in their memory, lingering like a bruise under the skin. This is where misunderstandings can arise. To some friends, Cancer's loyalty may feel overwhelming, almost demanding. They may not understand why Cancer seems disappointed when they fail to match that level of devotion. But for Cancer, loyalty is not optional, it's the foundation of the entire relationship. To them, friendship without reciprocity is not true friendship. They need to know that if they pour their heart into protecting you, you won't leave them defenseless when they are vulnerable. And vulnerability is at the core of this dynamic. Because Cancer is so loyal, they rarely allow themselves to build walls once trust is established. They may begin with caution, testing the waters, hiding behind their shell. But once they commit, they open wide, allowing you access to their most delicate emotions. If you betray that trust, whether by gossip, neglect, or insensitivity, it cuts them deeply, more deeply than many other signs. They may eventually forgive, because their capacity for compassion is enormous, but forgiveness doesn't erase memory. The scar remains. Cancer never truly forgets a betrayal. Their loyalty is powerful, but it also makes them fragile, because the more they give, the more they risk being wounded. The loyalty of a Cancer friend is not passive. It's not just about sticking around quietly. It's active, fierce, and protective. If someone speaks ill of you, they will defend you, sometimes with a passion that surprises even themselves. If they sense you're being taken advantage of, they'll step in to shield you, often before you even realize what's happening. Their intuition gives them a sixth sense about danger, betrayal, or hidden agendas. They can often spot who truly has your best interests at heart and who doesn't. This makes them invaluable allies. Not only are they loyal to you, but they also help you navigate the loyalty of others. The darker side of this protective quality is possessiveness. Cancer can sometimes confuse loyalty with ownership. Because they invest so much in their friends, they may feel uneasy when you form close bonds with others. It's not that they don't want you to have other friendships, but they need reassurance that they still matter, that they still hold a central place in your heart. Without that reassurance, jealousy or insecurity can seep in, leading to subtle tension. This is why clear communication is vital in friendships with Cancer. They thrive when they know where they stand, when they are reassured that their devotion is both seen and valued. If you're all in, the friendship will flourish. Cancer will give you everything: their protection, their care, their honesty, their laughter, their home-cooked meals, and their unwavering support. They will stand by you when others fade away. They will remember the anniversaries, the small victories, the inside jokes from years ago. They will become the one person you can call at any hour and know they'll answer, because for Cancer, friendship is a sacred bond, not a casual pastime. But if you're half-hearted, if you treat their loyalty as expendable, you risk losing not just a friend but a fortress, a defender, a home. The unspoken rule in a friendship with Cancer is simple yet profound: if you're in, be all in. Half measures won't do. They don't want acquaintances disguised as friends. They want allies, companions, soul-level connections. And if you give them that, if you meet their loyalty with your own, you will find yourself with a protector unlike any other, a friend who will not just walk beside you through life, but one who will carry you when your legs give out, shield you when the world grows harsh, and remind you, always, that you are not alone. Optimally compatible signs for friendship with Cancer. Not every zodiac sign finds the same rhythm with Cancer, but when compatibility does occur, it feels nothing short of destiny. There's something magnetic, almost poetic, about the way certain signs blend with Cancer's unique emotional wavelength. Friendship, for Cancer, is never a shallow endeavor. It's a merging of souls, a weaving of lives, and the building of trust that feels unshakable. When they discover another sign that not only accepts their emotional intensity but thrives in it, the relationship doesn't just work, it flourishes. These friendships become the bedrock of their lives, the kinds of bonds that endure storms, silence, and time itself. And while Cancer can form meaningful connections with almost anyone who respects their heart, certain zodiac energies resonate with them as if the stars themselves conspired to write the story. Take Taurus, for example. Earth and water, two elements that naturally nourish each other. Cancer is the tide, the flowing current, the emotional nurturer. Taurus is the fertile ground, the steady soil that gives Cancer's waves a shoreline to rest against. Together, they create a friendship that feels grounded yet soothing, practical yet deeply sentimental. Taurus values stability, loyalty, and comfort, and these are precisely the things Cancer craves. Where Cancer might get lost in their feelings, Taurus provides a calm, steady hand, offering assurance without judgment. Taurus loves the idea of building a safe haven, whether that's a cozy home or a consistent routine, and Cancer slips into this rhythm with ease. This combination often results in friendships that last decades because neither sign is quick to abandon what feels secure. Cancer offers depth, sensitivity, and care, while Taurus brings patience, dependability, and grounding. The two balance each other like a well-tuned duet, each providing what the other lacks without resentment. Now consider Virgo. Analytical, thoughtful, and quietly observant, Virgo may not always wear their emotions on their sleeve the way Cancer does, but they know how to offer something equally valuable: practical support. Cancer thrives on feeling supported, not just emotionally but in tangible, everyday ways. Virgo understands this better than most. Where Cancer might get caught in the whirlpool of emotions, Virgo steps in with rational advice, solutions, and an uncanny ability to organize chaos. But it's not a cold kind of problem solving. Virgo's help comes from a place of genuine care. They notice the details, the way Cancer's tone shifts when they're sad, the slight slump in posture when they're tired, and they respond with quiet acts of service that speak volumes. Cancer, in turn, softens Virgo's edges, encouraging them to lean into emotion, to trust intuition, to let go of perfection and embrace vulnerability. Together, they create a friendship that is both practical and deeply nourishing, where both feel they are not only seen but truly cared for in ways that match their unique love languages. Pisces is, without question, one of the most profound friendships Cancer can experience. This is the ultimate water sign connection, a meeting of souls who seem to understand one another before a word is spoken. Both Cancer and Pisces are intuitive, creative, and compassionate. They speak the language of emotion fluently, and in each other's company, they feel at home. Cancer doesn't need to explain the depth of their moods, because Pisces feels it instinctively. Pisces doesn't need to justify their dreams or their whimsical nature, because Cancer accepts it as part of the flow of life. These friendships often feel transcendent, as if they're operating on a higher frequency. Together, they can create worlds of imagination, artistry, and empathy. There is a softness here, a tenderness that makes both feel safe to explore their vulnerabilities. Yet this connection is not without challenges. Sometimes the shared emotional depth can become overwhelming. But when balanced, this friendship is nothing short of magical, offering both signs the comfort of knowing that they are never truly misunderstood. And then there is Scorpio, another water sign, but with a very different kind of intensity. Scorpio does not float in dreamy waters like Pisces, nor do they seek stability like Taurus. Instead, they dive deep into passion, loyalty, and fierce protection. This is where Cancer and Scorpio find their common ground. Both love with a depth that borders on ferocity, and both guard their friends with an almost primal instinct. When Cancer befriends a Scorpio, it's as though they've found someone who understands their need for emotional security while also matching their fierce loyalty. Scorpio brings strength, determination, and an unwavering sense of us against the world, which resonates with Cancer's innate desire to protect and be protected. Cancer, in turn, offers Scorpio a safe space to reveal the softer side they rarely show. Together, they create a friendship marked by trust so deep it feels unbreakable, and a bond so strong it can withstand jealousy, intensity, and even distance. These are the friends who will fight for each other fiercely, who will keep secrets locked away forever, and who will never doubt where they stand in one another's lives. When Cancer finds friendship among Taurus, Virgo, Pisces, or Scorpio, it often feels like fate has orchestrated the meeting. These are the companions who meet Cancer at the level of their heart, who understand that loyalty isn't a concept but a lived reality, who respect the sacredness of trust and the intimacy of true connection. With them, Cancer doesn't have to explain or justify their intensity. They are simply accepted, valued, and cherished. These friendships are not fleeting. They are the kind you can measure in decades, the kind that withstands silence and distance, the kind that evolves and deepens as life changes. Ultimately, Cancer thrives with people who value loyalty, depth, and consistency, and these signs embody those traits in ways that resonate harmoniously with Cancer's spirit. When these friendships are formed, it feels less like chance and more like destiny, a reminder that sometimes the stars align not just for romance, but for friendship that can define a lifetime. The shadow side, difficult signs for Cancer friendships. For all the warmth, loyalty, and compassion that Cancer brings into friendships, it would be a mistake to assume that they blend seamlessly with everyone. Their heart is vast, but not every personality matches the rhythm of their emotional tides. Some signs, though fascinating and vibrant in their own right, bring challenges to Cancer's world that can't be ignored. These connections aren't doomed by any means, but they require conscious effort, patience, and a willingness to bridge very different emotional languages. What often begins as curiosity or excitement can turn into frustration or disappointment if these differences aren't acknowledged. Yet, when approached with mutual respect, even difficult dynamics can teach Cancer resilience, adaptability, and the art of compromise. Aries is often the first stumbling block. Bold, fiery, and unfiltered, Aries moves through life with the energy of a spark that refuses to be contained. They are exciting, adventurous, and brave, but their bluntness often comes at a cost. Cancer, ruled by the moon, lives in a world of subtleties, moods, and unspoken feelings. Aries, ruled by Mars, is direct to the point of sharpness. What Aries considers honesty, Cancer often receives as harshness. When Aries shrugs off a disagreement, ready to move forward as if nothing happened, Cancer lingers in the emotional aftermath. They replay the words in their head, analyze the tone, and hold on to the sting long after Aries has forgotten. This creates a painful loop where Aries grows impatient with Cancer's sensitivity, while Cancer feels unappreciated and emotionally bulldozed. Still, if both learn from each other, Aries softening their delivery and Cancer learning not to take every word to heart, this clash can evolve into a bond where Aries teaches courage and spontaneity, while Cancer teaches empathy and gentleness. Gemini, on the other hand, brings an entirely different challenge. Playful, witty, endlessly curious, Gemini thrives on movement and variety. They are the social butterflies of the zodiac, fluttering from one experience, one person, one conversation to the next. Cancer, however, craves depth and emotional rootedness. While Gemini is off chasing new ideas and connections, Cancer may feel abandoned or neglected, as if they are being left behind. Cancer's need for consistency and reassurance often collides with Gemini's restless spirit, leading Cancer to feel insecure about their place in the friendship. Gemini's lightheartedness can also feel shallow to Cancer, who is searching for intimacy and soul-level conversations. At the same time, Cancer's emotional intensity can feel suffocating to Gemini, who prefers relationships that feel light and adaptable. Yet, if they learn to balance these differences, Gemini can show Cancer the beauty of flexibility and play, while Cancer can offer Gemini a grounding presence that helps them appreciate the richness of emotional depth. Then there is Sagittarius, a whirlwind of energy, optimism, and wanderlust. Freedom-loving and adventurous, Sagittarius seeks constant exploration, whether it's travel, philosophy, or new experiences. To Cancer, who finds comfort in the familiar, Sagittarius can feel like a storm, exhilarating but destabilizing. Cancer needs reassurance, stability, and emotional security. Sagittarius, however, has a "don't tie me down" attitude that directly clashes with Cancer's desire for loyalty and rootedness. Sagittarius doesn't mean to hurt Cancer, but their unpredictable comings and goings can leave Cancer feeling anxious and unimportant. To Cancer, love and friendship are demonstrated by consistent presence and reliability, while Sagittarius sees devotion as the freedom to come and go but always return with excitement. This disconnect can leave Cancer drained, clinging tighter as Sagittarius pulls further away. But if they can find a middle ground, Sagittarius can inspire Cancer to step outside their comfort zone, while Cancer can teach Sagittarius the value of stability and emotional trust. Aquarius poses perhaps the greatest challenge of all. Detached, logical, and fiercely independent, Aquarius operates on an intellectual frequency that often feels alien to Cancer's deeply emotional approach. Aquarius prides themselves on objectivity and the ability to detach from situations in order to see the bigger picture. Cancer, however, lives within the picture, inside the feeling, unable and unwilling to separate from the emotional truth of the moment. When Cancer shares their heart, Aquarius may respond with rational solutions or a level of detachment that makes Cancer feel dismissed. To Cancer, this can feel like a cold rejection of their very essence. Aquarius, in turn, may find Cancer's sensitivity overwhelming or irrational, leading to frustration. Cancer wants to be understood emotionally. Aquarius wants to be understood intellectually. The friendship often feels like two people speaking different languages, each convinced they're being clear but never fully hearing each other. If they work to bridge this gap, Cancer can help Aquarius access their softer, more compassionate side, while Aquarius can help Cancer gain perspective and avoid drowning in their emotions. Despite these challenges, it's important to remember that none of these pairings are impossible. Cancer's capacity for loyalty and compassion means they can adapt, and the other signs, when they care enough, can soften their rough edges for the sake of harmony. But these friendships demand conscious effort. They require patience, compromise, and above all, communication. Cancer must learn not to take everything personally, and the other signs must learn to respect the delicacy of Cancer's heart. When that balance is achieved, even these difficult friendships can become powerful. Aries can teach bravery, Gemini can inspire play, Sagittarius can encourage adventure, Aquarius can offer wisdom and perspective, and in return, Cancer teaches them all the value of loyalty, the beauty of emotional depth, and the sacredness of true connection. The shadow side of Cancer's friendships isn't about failure, it's about growth. It is the reminder that sometimes the people who challenge us most are the ones who shape us most profoundly. For Cancer, learning to coexist with fiery, airy, and detached energies is an exercise in resilience. It's proof that while their heart may be tender, it is also strong enough to withstand friction. And for the other signs, learning to love and respect a Cancer is a lesson in gentleness, patience, and the irreplaceable power of loyalty. These friendships may not be easy, but when nurtured with care, they can become some of the most transformative connections of all. The caregiver and listener. If there is one quality that defines Cancer in friendship above all others, it is their ability to listen in a way that goes beyond ordinary hearing. A Cancer friend doesn't just take in your words, they absorb your tone, your silences, your pauses, and even the things you try to hide. They notice when your smile doesn't quite reach your eyes, when your laugh sounds a little thinner than usual, when your text reply is shorter than it normally would be. This intuitive listening is like emotional sonar. It allows Cancer to pick up on shifts in your mood before you've even named them for yourself. They don't only listen to what you say, they listen to what your soul is whispering through the cracks in your voice. This quality makes Cancer one of the most comforting friends you can ever have. When you're with them, you feel seen in a way that is rare and precious. You can pour out your heart and know they won't judge or interrupt with quick fixes unless you ask for them. They'll sit with you in your grief, in your confusion, in your tangled emotions, without rushing to push you toward positivity. Their presence itself is healing. It's as if they are silently telling you, you don't have to go through this alone. I hear you, I feel you, and I'm not going anywhere. Cancer's caregiving instinct takes this listening further. They don't just notice what you need, they act on it. If you've had a rough day, they might show up with your favorite takeout without asking. If you're nervous about an upcoming exam or big presentation, they'll remember the date and send you a message of encouragement at the exact moment you need it most. If you once mentioned in passing that a certain song comforts you, don't be surprised if they create a playlist for you when you're going through a hard time. This is their love language, acts of care, small gestures, details that prove they not only heard you but stored away every nuance of what matters to you. There is a maternal quality to Cancer's friendship, regardless of gender. They nurture not because they feel obligated, but because it is second nature. They want to see you safe, fed, rested, and emotionally supported. They will fuss over you when you're ill, insist you eat when you've skipped meals, or stay up late to keep you company when you're too anxious to sleep. For Cancer, caregiving is not something they do on occasion, it's woven into who they are. To them, showing love and loyalty means showing up in practical, tender, and consistent ways. Yet this beautiful gift can sometimes feel overwhelming. Cancer's protectiveness can spill over into smothering. Their desire to care for you can cross into assuming responsibility for problems that aren't theirs to solve. They may try to shield you from every hurt, offer solutions before you're ready, or step in when all you wanted was space. This tendency comes from love, but it can feel heavy if not balanced with boundaries. Cancer must learn that being a caregiver doesn't mean taking over someone's life, and their friends must gently remind them that support doesn't always require intervention. Still, even when their protectiveness feels too strong, it's impossible to doubt the sincerity behind it. Cancer isn't trying to control, they're trying to make sure you feel less alone in a world that can often be cold. For them, friendship is about creating a sanctuary, a safe place where you can fall apart without fear of judgment. They don't just want to be your friend, they want to be your shelter. The key to thriving in a friendship with Cancer is mutual respect for boundaries and gratitude for their care. If you appreciate the small things they do, if you acknowledge their efforts, their heart will glow. They don't need lavish thanks, just the reassurance that their nurturing isn't taken for granted. And in return, you'll have a friend who will remember the little things no one else does, who will check in long after the crisis has passed, and who will hold space for you in both silence and conversation. Cancer's role as caregiver and listener is not about weakness, it's about strength. It takes strength to absorb another's pain without flinching, to sit in discomfort without running, to offer unconditional support without expecting anything in return. It takes patience to listen to words that aren't spoken, to care for someone even when they push you away, to be steady in the face of emotional turbulence. This is the kind of strength Cancer embodies in friendship. At times, Cancer will need to be reminded to take care of themselves, to listen to their own needs as carefully as they listen to others. But when they find friends who honor their boundaries while appreciating their generosity, their caregiving becomes one of the greatest treasures a person can receive. With Cancer as your listener and caregiver, you will always have a safe harbor in life's storms, someone who doesn't just hear your story but becomes part of it, holding your hand through every chapter. The ebb and flow of mood. To be close friends with a Cancer is to understand the poetry of tides, to learn the rhythm of the moon, and to accept that still waters are not always as calm as they appear. Cancer's moods are legendary, often misunderstood by those who crave predictability. But what might seem like inconsistency to the casual observer is, in truth, something far more nuanced and beautiful. Their moods are not random swings, they are part of a deeper cycle, a reflection of their lunar ruler, and a reminder that emotions are not linear. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, pulling the ocean tides with it, so too does Cancer shift, reflecting the phases of feeling with remarkable honesty. One day, a Cancer friend may burst with humor and lightness, joking with you until your stomach hurts from laughter, radiating joy like sunshine reflected on water. The next day, they may turn quiet and contemplative, retreating into themselves as if listening to a secret dialogue only they can hear. This shift is not meant to confuse or reject you. It is simply part of who they are. Living alongside a Cancer means learning that moods are not walls, they are waves. Sometimes you ride them together, sometimes you wait for them to settle, but always, beneath it all, the friendship remains steady, just like the ocean remains, no matter the tide. For friends who don't understand this ebb and flow, Cancer's moodiness can feel personal. They might think, "What did I do wrong?" when in truth, nothing at all happened. Cancer feels life deeply. They absorb the energy of those around them, the atmosphere of the room, the subtle vibrations of change in their environment. Their inner world is sensitive to the phases of the day, to memory, to longing, to joy, to sorrow. What looks like moodiness is often a rich inner dialogue playing out beneath the surface, a tide of emotion moving through them that cannot always be controlled. To expect them to remain unchanged is like asking the sea to stay still. This doesn't mean friendship with Cancer is unstable. Quite the opposite, their emotional depth allows for connections that feel profoundly alive. Their moods are not barriers to intimacy, they are invitations into the truth of human feeling. When a Cancer lets you witness their quiet, contemplative side, it means they trust you enough to see them unguarded. When they share their joy, it is full and genuine, not forced or superficial. To be part of their world is to experience the whole spectrum of feeling, the light and the shadow, the highs and the lows, all wrapped in authenticity. The gift of this ebb and flow is that Cancer never remains shallow. They don't skim the surface of life, laughing at jokes while ignoring the undercurrents. They feel, and in feeling, they help you feel too. Their mood shifts remind you that it is okay to be human, to change, to need space, to laugh wildly one moment and cry quietly the next. Their friendship becomes a mirror in which you learn to accept your own changing tides without shame. Of course, this gift comes with responsibility. Friends of Cancer must learn patience. They must understand that silence is not rejection, that withdrawal is not abandonment, and that tears are not weakness. To be close to Cancer is to know that love is not always expressed in constant cheerfulness. Sometimes love is expressed in presence during sorrow, in patience during retreat, in loyalty during distance. Once you understand this, the friendship becomes not only easier but more profound. You learn that Cancer's moods are not storms to be feared but seasons to be respected. For Cancer themselves, this emotional rhythm can be both a strength and a challenge. They may worry about being too much, about burdening friends with their shifting feelings. Yet the truth is that their capacity to feel deeply is what makes them extraordinary companions. Unlike those who mask their emotions, Cancer is brave enough to live openly in their cycles, showing the rawness of humanity without pretense. And while not every friend can handle the full range of their tides, the ones who stay, the ones who ride the waves, discover a friendship that is real, honest, and transformative. The best way to navigate Cancer's ebb and flow is to anchor yourself in the knowledge that their moods are never about pushing you away. They are like the ocean, sometimes calm, sometimes wild, sometimes retreating, sometimes surging forward, but always there, always encompassing, always embracing. If you can sit with them in silence, celebrate with them in joy, and reassure them in doubt, you will gain not just a friend but a bond that defies time. Their emotional cycles also enrich the friendship by providing depth to conversations, empathy in moments of pain, and sincerity in times of happiness. When they laugh, it is heartfelt because they have known sorrow. When they comfort, it is genuine because they have felt grief. When they rejoice with you, it is pure because they understand how precious joy is. Cancer's moods aren't flaws. They are the palette with which they paint the masterpiece of connection. In the end, the ebb and flow of Cancer's moods is not something to be endured but embraced. It is the rhythm of friendship with them, the lunar pull that teaches you about patience, acceptance, and the beauty of emotional honesty. They remind you that friendship is not about constant sunshine but about weathering all seasons together, learning that even in the quiet, even in the storm, even in the retreat, the ocean of their love remains constant. And when you realize this, when you stop fearing the tide and start flowing with it, you discover that being friends with a Cancer is not a challenge but a privilege, a chance to witness the raw, shifting, ever-beautiful nature of the human heart. The long-term friend. To understand Cancer as the long-term friend is to understand the essence of loyalty in its purest and most enduring form. Cancers are not here for fleeting connections, surface-level interactions, or temporary alliances. They are built for the long haul, for the kind of friendships that become part of the fabric of your life. For Cancer, friendship is not measured in weeks, months, or even years. It is measured in memories, in roots that spread quietly beneath the soil, binding two souls together in ways that are often invisible but undeniably strong. When you form a true friendship with a Cancer, you are planting something that is meant to last. Even if you drift apart for a season, even if life scatters you to different places, even if silence grows between you for months or years, they still carry you in their heart. Their loyalty doesn't expire when the calendar changes or when distance intervenes. Instead, it matures, deepens, and waits patiently for the moment when paths cross again. To Cancer, a bond once formed is not easily broken. It's not something they discard when it's no longer convenient. They hold on, not out of stubbornness, but out of devotion. This is why so many people describe Cancer as the friend who never left. When others fade away, when social circles shift, when the noise of life drowns out old connections, Cancer remains. They may not call every day or message constantly, but when they do reach out, it often feels like no time has passed at all. They will bring up something you mentioned years ago, a dream you once shared, a worry you confessed, a funny story you thought they'd forgotten. That memory, tucked safely in their heart, becomes the thread they use to reconnect, reminding you that your friendship was never forgotten. Their friendships are like roots. Roots are not flashy, they don't demand attention. They grow quietly, invisibly, pushing deeper into the earth, anchoring themselves against storms. Cancer's love works the same way. Even when you can't see the evidence of their loyalty, it is there, firm and unyielding. You might think time or distance has weakened the bond, but the opposite is true. The roots have only grown deeper, more entwined, impossible to pull out. This long-term devotion also explains why Cancers are often the keepers of history within a friendship. They remember the details, the shared laughter, the struggles you endured together. They are the ones who will bring up the night you stayed up until sunrise talking about your dreams, or the time you comforted each other after heartbreak. To them, these are not trivial memories, they are milestones in the journey of your bond. They carry those stories with them, holding them like keepsakes, because they understand that the history of a friendship is part of what makes it sacred. For Cancer, the idea of abandoning someone they once called a friend is nearly unthinkable. Even if the relationship changes form, even if you grow apart in lifestyle or geography, the emotional thread remains intact. They might give you space if you need it, but in their heart, you still matter. This doesn't mean they tolerate betrayal or mistreatment indefinitely. Cancer can, and will, retreat if they feel consistently hurt, but even then, a piece of their heart remembers what once was. They may forgive long after others have forgotten, because for them, love doesn't vanish, it transforms. This unwavering commitment makes Cancer one of the most valuable friends you can ever have. In a world where connections are often fleeting, where people move on quickly when life shifts, Cancer offers stability. They remind you that real friendship isn't about constant presence but about enduring presence. It's about knowing that even if you don't speak every day, even if miles separate you, they are still in your corner. When you need them, they will show up, sometimes without being asked, as if they felt your need before you could even voice it. The long-term nature of Cancer's friendships also means they invest heavily in the bond from the beginning. They aren't casual about who they let into their inner circle, because they know once they love, they will love for life. That careful selection makes their loyalty all the more meaningful. If a Cancer has chosen you as a friend, it's because they see something lasting in you, something worth nurturing, protecting, and holding on to. They aren't interested in disposable connections. They want roots, not branches easily broken by the wind. At times, this depth of commitment can be overwhelming to those who aren't used to it. Some friends may feel pressured by the intensity of Cancer's loyalty, or may not understand why Cancer seems to hold on so tightly. But once you realize that their devotion comes not from control but from love, it becomes clear that there is no greater gift than having someone who refuses to let time or distance erase the bond you share. To have a Cancer as a long-term friend is to have a constant in a world of change. They are the person who remembers who you were, who accepts who you are, and who believes in who you will become. They are the keeper of your shared history, the one who shows up when it matters, the one who never stops caring. Their friendship is not seasonal, it is perennial, evergreen, enduring through every storm, every drought, every shift of the landscape. And perhaps that is the truest beauty of Cancer as the long-term friend. They teach us that love and loyalty are not fragile, not fleeting, not easily swayed. They show us that real friendship doesn't dissolve with time or distance, it grows deeper, stronger, more rooted. They remind us that in a world of impermanence, there are still bonds that can last a lifetime, bonds that feel like home no matter where you are. In the end, being friends with a Cancer is both a gift and a responsibility. When you find yourself in the orbit of a Cancer, you quickly realize that this is not the kind of friendship that rests on casual conversation or occasional convenience. It is not a light breeze that passes through on a summer afternoon, pleasant but easily forgotten. It is something far more significant, something that lingers and deepens, something that roots itself inside your life in ways that are both beautiful and profound. To call a Cancer your friend is to accept that you are not stepping into shallow water, you are entering the ocean, full of waves, full of mystery, full of life. The gift of this friendship lies in the way Cancer feels, not just for themselves but for you. They are the type of person who doesn't merely sympathize, they empathize so deeply that it can seem as though they are carrying your emotions right alongside their own. If you are sad, they grieve with you. If you are joyful, their heart bursts with happiness, not from envy, but from a pure and unfiltered delight in your joy. Sometimes they will even feel your pain more acutely than you do, noticing shades of hurt you haven't yet admitted to yourself. They are mirrors of the emotional world, reflecting and amplifying what you feel, but doing so with tenderness, not judgment. This emotional resonance can make their friendship one of the most comforting experiences of your life. When you are weighed down, they lighten your load by sharing it. When you are lost, they help you navigate your own heart until you find your way again. When you are triumphant, they celebrate with a sincerity that reassures you that your victory truly matters. There is something healing about being seen so completely, something rare about being accepted without condition. With Cancer, you don't need to pretend or perform. You can be your rawest self, and still, they will hold you close. But this incredible gift comes with its counterpart, the responsibility. Cancer's heart is a tender thing. It is strong, yes, but it is also vulnerable, soft like the underbelly of the very crab that symbolizes them. When you are entrusted with their loyalty, you are holding something precious, something that must be treated with respect and care. They do not give their trust lightly, nor do they open their hearts to everyone. If you are welcomed inside, it means you have been chosen with intention. And once you are chosen, they will protect you, stand by you, and defend you as fiercely as they defend themselves. Yet because of this, betrayal cuts deeper for them than for most. A careless word, a thoughtless action, a moment of neglect. These things may not mean much to others, but to Cancer, they are wounds that take time to heal. This does not mean they are unforgiving, for they can and do forgive, but the scars remain as reminders of what their trust costs. Being friends with Cancer means being aware of this fragility and choosing to treat their heart as the treasure it is. It means remembering that your actions, your words, your attentiveness matter. When you do honor their heart, when you treat them with the tenderness they deserve, you receive in return something extraordinary. A loyalty that endures beyond time, beyond distance, beyond circumstance. Cancer does not love halfway. They do not stand with you only when life is easy. They are there in the storms, holding your hand when everyone else has let go. They are there when you stumble, not to scold you, but to help you rise again. Their devotion is steadfast, their presence enduring. They are the ones who will keep checking in long after the crisis has passed, the ones who will still remember your silent victories even when no one else noticed. The truth is, many dream of friendships like this, but few actually find them. Many people long for someone who will stay, who will listen without judgment, who will carry their secrets without betrayal, who will celebrate their joy without envy. Cancer embodies all of this. Their love in friendship is not performative, it is woven into their being. When they call you a friend, they mean it with every fiber of their soul. And so, being friends with a Cancer is a balance. It is both the blessing of being cherished deeply and the responsibility of handling that love with care. It is about learning to move gently with their tides, to accept their moods as part of the beauty of who they are, to offer reassurance when their sensitivity makes them doubt, and to treasure the extraordinary loyalty they give so freely. In the end, the question isn't whether a Cancer is a good friend, it is whether you are ready to rise to the role of being their friend in return. Because if you are, you will discover a loyalty and a love so rare, so steadfast, that it feels almost sacred. You will discover what it means to be chosen as family by someone who values connection above all else. And once you've known that kind of friendship, it will spoil you for anything less. Cancer shows us that friendship, at its best, is not about convenience or proximity but about depth, devotion, and the courage to feel fully with another person. To be their friend is to be loved in a way that others only dream about. To treat them with respect is to unlock a bond that lasts a lifetime. And to honor their heart is to discover that the greatest gift of all is not what they do for you, but the way they remind you, every single day, what it means to truly belong.